you describe Dominica? Others say a simple Caribbean island. But I say big things come in small packages, and to know one's worth is to know oneself. People, this is a one-of-a-kind show. Like me, this is the best way I know how to truly embrace Dominica and Dominicans. Real Vybz is seeking to discover our own icons, singers, songwriters, artists, painters, politicians, everyday human beings and the faces that we know. Real Vybz is letting their voice be heard. Welcome everyone to the first show hosted by Real Vybz. I'm your host Marissa Stedman. Today we got two of our Calypso favorites coming in. Yes, these men have been doing pretty well for themselves this year 2018. It seems like this year has been a great year for them. We got the Bob becoming the Calypso Monarch 2018 and longtime veteran Hakesy, who has been announced as the Road Match King. Now we want to say congratulations to both of them. They've done well gaining their titles. Today we're here at the Botanical Gardens. We decided, why do an on-set show? Why not go outdoors and show you Dominica? You're watching Real Vybz with Marissa Stedman. Let us welcome to the show our newest Calypso Monarch 2018, the Bob. Hi Bob, how are you doing?
I'm doing great,
Thank you for coming to the show. Now Bob, as you know, this is our first show on Real Vybz, so we consider you our honorary guest. So let's make this show worth watching.
Yeah, well, the pleasure is always mine making a connection with the public, and I'm happy that it's happening through you.
Oh, definitely. Now Bob, we know that it was pretty competitive out there. We had 9 finalists who put on a spectacular show, but you were awarded the crown. How do you feel now that you've won?
I feel a great sense of accomplishment because I have been, trotting this journey for 17 years. And, at the end of that, you feel, okay, yes, I've done something, I've done it right this time. But in my heart, I know I've always been doing it correctly. I am a performer, it's my calling, and I've done it right on each occasion. However, I've not found favors with the judges. But this time, it's different, and it just feels like a great sense of accomplishment. It doesn't feel like, okay, now it's time I can just go and relax. But it feels like something new is about to happen, and I have to work again. And I'm prepared to go through the journey all over again with a new sense and a new sense of appreciation as well. But I feel really, really good that I can now put into place a lot of the plans that I had for Calypso many years ago.
Now Bob, you keep saying that you've been in this business for 17 years and you felt like you have been doing your best. But what do you think gave you the edge over the Calypsonians this year? There must be something that made you stand out.
I think, let me say, strategy. Strategy mattered a lot this time. Trying to be as different as possible. Everybody felt that it's timely and so on to sing about Maria at the time. And I just felt it would be the worst time for Calypso because everybody's going to come with this Maria thing. And I wanted to be very different. I wanted to come with a presentation that nobody else had seen before. So I spent time, developing that, and the song made it so easy for me to present a lot of things that I wanted to. And it just I think that's what gave me the edge. It was strategy and a beautiful song.
Yes, Bob did have a beautiful song, and I will add, tell the truth, Bob. There seemed to be something behind that song. Now, I want to talk about your song a little bit because we know that it was written by Pat Aaron, who's a really great writer.
Yes.
He's the one who normally writes for The Great King Dies.
Yes, yeah.
Now, there's been so much rumors going around that normally Pat Aaron awards the best of his songs to the 8-time Calypso Monarch. You've been given a song by Pat Aaron. You won. So what is your take on that?
I think it's a very unfair statement because if you look at anybody who's like paying attention to my career or have heard or been to the shows, I have sung some really great songs over the years. And when we go back to songs like Swim Close to the Rock, songs like The Walls Tumbling Down, You Never Know How You'll End Up Tomorrow. If Dice had sung any of those songs that I sang in 17 years, he would have won 17 crowns. I have no doubt about that in my mind. Calypso, over the years, to me, it came across to me like a popularity contest, and I think the figure has to be popular, but the figure also has to sing good songs, and I have sung great songs, I'm certain. And I'll say it again, if he had sung any one of those songs, he would have won anyway. So I guess this time is just my time. As I said, we tried some different strategies, you know, and that strategy of the impersonation and so on is something that nobody else expected, and it just startled the judges, it startled the audience, and great presentation of a great song.
Now, for those of you who know the Bob, yes, he's a long-time Calypsonian as well, singing for 17 years, but he's also a member of the executive of the Dominica Calypso Association. And Bob, I'm starting to get the feeling like you're hinting to me that Calypsonians can have a good song, but sometimes they're judged based on their character. Is that so? You seem to convey the idea like as if you've been a victim of that yourself.
Well, I did feel that way on occasions, eh? There were times when, there was at least twice when I should have crowned, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many people as well, and it just didn't happen. And when you look at it, you know, I just figured, I knew and I could get it, and you think about it, there were even judges who would say things to people that would come back to me, you know, that I'm just not, Bob is just not Calypso quality, he's just not ready for that, or we're not ready for him for that level as yet. Yet still I'd come first runner-up and so on, which was just very confusing. So I do believe that people have their own personal feelings about what they do, and this is something that you cannot necessarily get rid of. I worked with it anyway. I didn't allow it to slow me down. I came every year and made sure my diction was as good as every other year that I sang, and better. And I just use all those negatives to turn them around and strengthen me, and this is where I'm at today.
Bob, as a member of the executive of the Dominica Calypso Association, do you think that you will be judged even harder than the average Calypsonian?
I think even the executive, as you mentioned, the executive, where the executive is not involved in the judging process. We have a team of judges, and there's a judges coordinator who deals with this independently. Our job is just to provide training for them, something that we have not necessarily been doing as strongly as we should have. But however, the executive is not involved, the association is not involved in the process. I think the reason why I think I would have been judged more harshly, or maybe that would be scrutinized a little closer, is because of one of the things, my diction. I try to sing very, very clearly. I try to ensure that you can spell every word that I sing, that comes out of my mouth. And it being so clear, it's very easy to capture a mistake. If the judges are listening to me very attentively and very clear, it's very easy if I just fumble a word to notice that. As opposed to a guy who sings all his words a bit fumbling, he might get away with something. So I kind of have it harder. I was born on a Saturday, so I'm prepared for all of that tense feeling and all that scrutinizing and so on. So that's why I'm prepared to go another 17, 20 years in the thing, you know, doing it as I've done it.
Now, I don't know if you've heard, but we've all heard, especially the public, that the Calypso Association, there's been many feuds among you all as members of the executive, and that is hindering the art form to grow. What is your take on that?
Well, the first thing I would like to say is that true? Is that true? How would anybody out there know that that is true? And which group of persons would not have a certain level of argument to push their point forward? You have a group of 9 guys, and they have to make a decision on one thing, and it's only natural that out of the 9 there'll be 4, maybe 5, maybe 3 with an opposing view. So I mean, we are normal people. I mean, we will argue and so on. So I don't think it's fair to say that that is necessarily hindering. Probably we may not have made certain decisions. If we make a mistake and make the wrong decision at the time, choose something that we should have chosen otherwise, then probably yes, you can say that, and that is just normal human error. But I think in like looking at the feud thing, there isn't really an element of hate that exists strongly in the executive. It's just that when we express ourselves as individuals to come to a common decision, you will have tango, you will have that kind of thing, and it's just a natural thing.
On another note, Bob, on the night of the finals, you were especially happy to be crowned Calypso Monarch, but someone else was especially glad. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will show you the footage. Who is she, Bob? What is the relationship?
I am certain that you're referring to my daughter, my 18-year-old daughter, Dania. Dania is doing her final year at college, and Dania has been with me. Well, she's 18, and I have been in the business for 17 years. So basically, all her life.
Wow.
So I've been seeing that kind of that success, you know, that sudden thing, that blow up success happens. She has to bask in it, because how must I put it? There was a lot of sacrifice where she's concerned for me to be where I am. As a father, I may not have been there all the time, obviously. I had to travel, I had to spend a lot of time in the studio, rehearsing, developing music and so on. And that took me away from my two daughters. Abigail is not here now to have basked in it as Dania did on Saturday night. But I'm happy that she still appreciates the fact that, you know, Daddy, I love you so much, despite the fact that you were not there all the time. And amidst all the hard times and so on. So to me, it's still just looking at that clip is so special, and it will live with me for the rest of my life. I also hope that my life story regarding my children and so on, and Dania, will send a message to the fathers that, and people in general, that, you know, sometimes something suffers. I wanted to be the best father I could ever be, or any father could ever be. And I love my music so much. Not that I love my music over them, but probably there was an equal amount of love between my children and my music. And something suffered. And I'm sorry that it did, but I'm happy to see that my success, they are excited about my success, despite the fact that they've been cheated of so much time.
On that note, I do want to add that I respect your honesty, because there have been talks, you know, there have been rumors that supposedly you and your daughter did not have the best relationship, that you were not always there. So I just appreciate the fact that you can be so openly honest to the Real Vybz family. Now, I'm tempted to ask Bob, yes, I mean, you said that you've performed very well over the course of the 17 years, but there are times where we have to self-examine ourselves. If you were asked, was it you? Was it the judges? Or were you just not good enough to outperform the other Calypsonians? Which one would it be?
I don't know. But I think, you know, we live in such a small society, and I've heard things. You know, you say something to one person and it gets across so quickly. So because of the things that I've heard coming from a couple of the horses' mouth, it leads me to believe that the judges had a great deal to play in terms of their personal feelings about me. And not that I took that on, or it made me angry, or it made me feel to leave or anything. It empowered me, because I realized in my life that whenever someone sends lemons at you to hurt you, you capture them and you make lemonade with them.
Wow, I like that.
And I have used that all the time. So every naysayer, every negative, every sarcasm that flies at me, I just use it to better myself. Because sometimes some people don't know how to speak better. They don't know how to say things constructively, but sometimes they may say something that may seem hurtful, but there's a message in there anyway. You just have to be mature enough to capture it. So that's what I've done, and I think I've done that very well. I've gotten better at what I do. And guess what? I'm the monarch.
I have to agree with the man. I was at the show at the Calypso Finals. We're going to show you some footage of Bob performing on that night. For those who haven't seen it, enjoy.
Passive topics and excuses, you just come and sing. Go and sing the truth, Bob. Go and sing the truth. Well, the judges and them, they don't like you, but the public, when people don't like you, you can bring down manna from heaven. They won't like you. When they don't like you, you can save them and they will blame you. It's like they don't like you.
Bob, do you think that you performed at your best?
I never feel I perform at my best. I'm very hard on myself, and probably that's where Abigail gets it from. She's very, very hard on herself. I always feel that I can do something so much better. So even that night, you may have gotten 75-80% of the Bob, what I could really offer. But it's natural, you know, because what happened is that you run a season preparing and so on and performing, and the quality of your voice naturally depreciates. So you lose some things naturally. You become tired, you know, your brain you're not thinking as fast. Sometimes you may forget a lyric and so on. So I tried this time to get a little extra rest and so on, and it worked. So you just cannot get 100% of me at any finals. You probably got a good 75%. So just imagine.
You have no idea how much I'm glad that you said that, because on Real Vibes we require better than the best. Now I know you said you had the flu and all of that, but you're an artist, man. An artist performs under any weather.
Well, I didn't have the flu. I didn't have the flu.
Well,
Thankfully,
we're hoping you don't have it now.
The flu would have mashed me up completely, but I didn't have it. It actually came along after, which I'm thankful for. But I know the fatigue and all the work and, you know, trying to remember 1,000 things at a time.
Yes.
As the season gets closer, it matures more and more. You tend to sleep less because the anxiety develops. You sleep less and less. Even if you go to bed early, you're up so early in the morning, and you just lose rest. And then you try to catch some during the day, and if you can. So it's just a natural thing where you become weary, and that takes away the best of you.
So on that note, can we get a verse and a chorus?
I don't think so, because the flu came about after the show and it's still lingering around. But I'll be happy to be back to give you a full
and we will be very happy to have you back on Real Vibes. Now guys, here we had with us the Bob 2018 Calypso Monarch. We're going to take a quick break, but we do have to tell you, don't go anywhere, because we do have another guest coming on our show. Congratulations to the Bob. Of course, your fans are wailing. I'm a big fan as well, and thank you for coming on the Real Vibes show.
You're welcome. Anytime.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for staying with us on Real Vibes, where we tell it like it is. We just saw the Bob. He has left the building, and right now we're at the Calypso House to meet our second guest. And I can tell you this, I love being in this atmosphere because, like I mentioned earlier, today's show is all about our Calypso favorites, and this is where much of the practice sessions are held during the Calypso competitions. Now the gentleman who's about to join us, he has been singing Calypso for 44 years. He's said to be one of the first members of the executive of the Dominican Calypso Association, the first king of the Stardom Tent, and he is a singer, songwriter, coordinator of the Calypso Association and Calypsonian, and this year, 2018, new road match king, Hixie. Please help me to welcome Hix. Come in, Hixie. We're pleased to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. Lovely session.
So how are you doing? Tell me, how has it been?
Well, it's been wonderful. A lot of people meet me and they tell me, well, Hixie, boy, that is a successful year, more successful year. In a sense, personally, it's a success. But as far as Calypso is concerned, I feel we have taken a few steps back.
Having said that, now Hixie, I know you. For those who know Hixie, who's aware, this is a man who's not afraid to tell it like it is, like our saying says. So Hix, before we get our happy on, let's just resolve the problem at hand. What's been bothering you? I know that there's something that's been bothering you, and I want to talk about it.
It's about several things, but one of them includes the matter of the Calypso road match Monarch, and I just feel it was not handled properly. First of all, there shouldn't have been a tie. In no way, we had already hedged that we wouldn't have a tie. And then when we get a tie, which in my opinion wasn't for Calypso's sake, it was for more appeasing certain members of the Calypso Association instead of even the public, who we had got all reports from the public that I had won, I'd edged everybody out in the last day and had won the Monarch competition, the road competition. We had to kind of force ourselves into agreeing to a tie for others' sake. Not for Calypso's sake, not for the road match sake, not for nothing, but merely for other people's sake. I think I'm bothered by that. Even if in a sense it kind of puts some situations to rest. But the situations is not, it shouldn't be about people. Really, it shouldn't be about, I mean, not people per se, not the public, not the patrons, because they themselves reported so much that our PRO was actually about to announce Road March King and was told to hold it off. I didn't know at the moment what the reason was for, but eventually we get the reason, it was a tie. Now, Macu, as in the Stardom 10 competition, I was happy for Logos because he was having a bad year. Okay, his song, which I think is a very good song, didn't go through, and he kind of won the Stardom 10. Even if I was the only one in the history of Stardom 10 competition, I being the first Stardom 10 monarch, I was the only one in the history of this competition that the crowd, the public actually said, we want more, we want more. Stayed so for about 7 minutes while our great MC, Val Coffee, Young Bull, tried to appease them and explain to them it's a competition, so it have to go on, even if. And I didn't win that competition, a crowd impact competition.
Now to the viewers out there, those of you who are listening, I hope you're getting the understanding. I mentioned, yes, Hexie is the Road March King, but there's been a tie. There's 2 Road March Kings in the house. We're talking about Hexie and Logos. Now the Public Relations Office of the Dominica Calypso Association said this at the dipping ceremony held for the 9 finalists of the Calypso show. Let's have a look.
One of the things that I would like to say publicly again, please, we do not want any tie.
So Hexie, after looking at the footage of Observer addressing the Calypsonians and the public by extension at the dipping ceremony, we know that the Road March King is judged differently from the Calypso competition. In that case, how would a tie be broken?
Well, a tie would be broken in that case by the executive. Let's be quite frank about that. But if there is not a tie, if reports from, believe it, people say we don't have a system in place. But from time immemorial, there has been a system. It is not the best system, you understand me?
But
and we should move on to a better system. But from time immemorial, just to explain to you, we do have a system of reports coming in from prestigious people in the carnival thing that tell us of who, in their opinion, won it based on where they were and how many times a particular song played. So if it turns out to be a tie, the executive would get together and decide. I mean, this is the...
So why didn't they do it in that case? We just saw Observer clearly stating, asking the judges, the Calypsonians, everyone in the public to understand that we do not want any ties for 2018, yet when the Road March title is being announced, there is announced a tie. So who's not listening?
Well, probably it could be that some people just don't want me to be outright Road March King. Some people, as a matter of fact, didn't even want me to be Road March King. I can tell you that point blank. And that hurts, because I was as surprised as you that Saki Sao, Sesao, was so big on the road. As a matter of fact, I understand in Maho, every time they played other songs, the crowd was asking for Saki Sao, Sesao. You understand? I understand also we got reports from Earl White Jr. and other people in Portsmouth that it was the Road March there. Point blank, you understand? But some people, some people just didn't feel that Hexie, which, as I said, I keep saying that every time it comes to Hexie, the rules suddenly change. All rules that apply to everybody else, when it comes to Hexie, it changes. They have to discover, fabricate, organize other rules to judge me.
On that note, Hexy, it does seem like 2018 you made changes. You've been in Calypso for 44 years.
Yes.
You won the very first King of the Stardom 10th. I'm sure that you have had other titles that we can boast and brag about, but it has been a couple of years. Just like the Bob, it has been a couple of years since we've seen you gaining a prestigious title. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to show you Hexy's performance on the night of the finals.
You eating good, we cannot buy with food. It shouldn't be like that. Oh Lord, back to South et South. Dominica no toujours là. One day family, like branches on a sweet mango tree.
In addition to showing you Hexy's performance, how about taking a look at the other road match king, Logos, at the Stardom tent? Now, Hexy, after having looked at that footage, your performance versus that of Logos,
yes,
how would you have felt if Logos was the one who had gained the title of Road Match King?
First of all, I would be glad for Logos. Let's put that to bed, first of all. But I would be terribly disappointed, and I would have taken it to court. I'm telling you, as a matter of fact, I already had things in place to take any decision that would share or not give me my road match to court. But when I saw wonderful people within the organization, there are some wonderful people who even himself, Observer, what he was doing as he's a PRO, and he's a great kind of stabilizer. He's like a stabilizing, uncontroversial, and I speak my mind, so it gets on people's goat. Observer and Trendsetter, people like that, and the quiet Bassi, and even the king himself. They try to resolve a situation. What I think they didn't take into consideration is the fact that you have to give Jack his jacket and Jane her lipstick. That I tell not so much nice things about who are you to tell me about Calypso judging me. How do you feel?
Hexy, I don't want to cut you off there, but we do have to take a quick break. This conversation is getting really deep. Of course, we know there's a lot of rumors being speculating about the entire Calypso Association and the way in which matters are handled. But when we come back, please stay with us. Hexy is still on the show, and he's about to give us the performance of a lifetime. Welcome back, Real Vibes family. We're still at the Calypso house. Now, it is a known fact, a lot of persons have admitted that Hexy's song has a very good melody. In his song, Saki Sao Se Sao, it is Creole. It means what is yours is yours.
Hear this. What goes around comes around. Karma is a bitch. The end of life soon will come. That the Bible preach. Messiah, we must always practice what we preach. Today we up, tomorrow we down, the longest rope have an end. Today we right, tomorrow we wrong, the truth is around the bend. Mercy, we must always practice what we preach. Too much dirty business in our politics. Some getting rich quick while others taking licks. All kind of dirty scandal after the hurricane, because the same incompetent people in charge again. Whoa, whoa, you living well and like a successor. It shouldn't be like that. You were eating good, we cannot buy with food. It shouldn't be like that. You got money to spend, we can't even pay with rent. It shouldn't be like that. And we making the same mistakes all over again, because you're doing the same old thing all over again. Why die? This is for you. Die. Ooh. I see a fire burning deep inside of you, and I see the country bleeding blood, red and blue. In your desperation, I see there's nothing that you won't do. So before you start your war, there's something I must tell you. We may not have it all together, but together we can have it all. If we just put this country first, Dominica will never fall. Oh Lord, Saki Sao se sao.
Real Vibes. This is where we discover the fun, the facts, and the freedom to talk about whatever we want. How do you describe Dominica? Others say a simple Caribbean island. But I say big things come in small packages, and to know one's worth is to know oneself. People, this is a one-of-a-kind show. Like me, this is the best way I know how to truly embrace Dominica and Dominicans. Real Vibes is seeking to discover our own icons, singers, songwriters, artists, painters, politicians, everyday human beings, and the faces that we know. Real Vibes is letting their voice be heard.